It was WWE's Saturday night's main event, and I think every nostalgia thing you wanted them to hit, I think they nailed it. It was, I thought, a perfect balance of not leaning too far into the old, modernizing it a little bit, but not disrespecting it, and actually having some tributes to it and everything like that. I think that there was a lot to really, really like about what they did for Saturday night's main event. I thought the opening, all the graphics and the music and everything was fantastic. And then Joe Tessitore, I could listen to him narrate with a phone book. Like, he was a little over the top for Monday Night Football. I think we understand that, and I think we agree on that. But he's perfect for the world of WWE. The big intro, we are coming to you live from New York. Like, all of that was just perfect. He is so great at the world of wrestling. And then Jesse Ventura is exactly what you needed for this one. I think as they played some clips, you remember, like, man, like we were at a point where it would be absurd for Gorilla Monsoon to have lived this long, but it would have been cool if he could have been back around. And it would have been cool if you could have had a Gene Okerlund or a Howard Finkel. And so you do have those nods to the past who are no longer with us, which are unfortunately, you get a lot to choose from in the world of professional wrestling, but I thought they hit all of that really well. And then Pat McAfee, I know he's not for everyone, but I really like what he brings to a WWE broadcast in kind of modernizing it, and I think he brings the best out of Michael Cole as well. And yeah, talking about the nostalgia, we'll talk about the championship match in a second, but Deeds in the chat, keep the Winged Eagle championship. Yes, 1,000 times yes. Just seeing that, it was perfect. And I have debated my favorite belt for a long time because I love that one. But then I think after, like, the Attitude Era one is when I really grew up in wrestling. And so that just feels like a world title to me. The big gold belt from WCW is a perfect championship belt. And also, I like the first undisputed championship that the WWE made, in part because I have one here, because I won it in a draw many years ago. So I have a few favorites, but seeing that one on TV again in HD and all of that, I was like, oh, it's a championship, right? Like, it feels like a championship belt. So I thought that was just chef's kiss. Perfect. Absolutely loved it. First match was Drew McIntyre against Sami Zayn. I thought this match was exactly what it was supposed to be. I really enjoyed this. You get the crowd to bite on a Sami Zayn near fall. You get to play into him as being a bit of an underdog, but still not as much of an underdog as he would have been against Drew a couple of years ago. And I think that was a subtle nod in this match, that Sami Zayn is hanging with Drew a little bit better than maybe he would have a bit ago, and just kind of speaking to Sami's elevation as a character and as a performer in the WWE. But ultimately, the main focus of this match was, let's make Drew McIntyre look like a gigantic ass kicker again. And boy, howdy did he. What a performance from Drew McIntyre. I thought he looked really, really strong, and I think that was the exact look that he needed going now into WrestleMania season. I'll be interested to see what happens next, because there is this, like, he's on a mission to just destroy anything that is attached to the old bloodline. I don't think we ever get a Drew versus Roman thing. I don't, but do we get Jey Uso? I mean, maybe, and just kind of roll through that. I have said before that we fought these guys and now you're with these guys story is going to get old because it's happening in a number of different ones, but I think the main thing out of this is that there is some realism with the Drew McIntyre thing, and you could kind of believe where he is coming from and why he would be so frustrated about that whole situation. The Women's World Championship, Liv Morgan taking on Iyo Sky. As much as I didn't want it to be, this was a pretty predictable outcome. The main story on the women's side and on Raw right now is Liv Morgan, Raquel Rodriguez to a certain extent, and Rhea Ripley. And so you need to have the championship there. I love Iyo Sky. I think she is an amazing performer. If you've watched any of this content at all, you know that I will just gush about her at any opportunity. And I think she was great. I thought it was a fun match, a bit of a hard-hitting affair, so to speak. I thought, again, the crowd was really into this one. Crowd was into it all night. This was a really good crowd out in New York. They did an awesome job making everything kind of feel the way it was supposed to. And I thought Iyo comes out of this feud feeling a little bit more important and legitimately feeling like a main eventer instead of someone who was a champion for a bit and then she was in a tag team thing and now she's whatever. Like she feels like a main event player on the Raw side, and it is now up to them, and it is something that they have struggled with. It is something AEW really struggles with right now, but main event level performers in storylines not around the championship. You get them all the time on the guy's side, but on the women's side, it's basically just champion, challenger, and that's it. We need more high-level stories on the women's side going forward. And then Rhea comes out, and I thought it was great. This is a lot of eyeballs on NBC on Saturday night's main event. You want to get Rhea Ripley out there feeling like a badass, and boy, did she feel like a badass, coming out there doing the stomp and all of that, and setting up this rivalry and really kind of driving it home as a really big deal going forward. The one thing I didn't like, and it's an old school wrestling thing, and I get annoyed when old school wrestling people do some of this stuff, but Liv and Raquel are just standing there while Rhea Ripley comes out, does the big stomp, and then flips the hair up and is looking. And it's like, if you guys were badass heels or whatever, as she does a big stomp and is not looking, you jump her and you attack her because she's not looking at you. The disrespect of it all. But I mean, again, it is because there's a face-off that is being set up and it sets up the feud for the rest of the year. So from a TV standpoint, like, it makes sense to not do it. But just from if this is a real life fight situation, why are they not attacking her? But that's just me way overthinking things in the world of professional wrestling. Damian Priest against Finn Balor against Gunther for the World Heavyweight Championship. I thought Damian Priest came out of this looking like a goddamn star. Like he has this look. He is back to being his regular self. And we have seen this year a few times promotions have some trouble going from badass heel that everyone falls in love with. Now let's try to make them a bit more likable. And we've just taken away all the badass characteristics that made them likable. Now we're bored by them because there really isn't a whole lot to their personality. They have been able to bring that back out of Damian Priest and kind of get that swagger and that cool back. And just the way they shoot the intro and all of that really makes him seem like a big deal. And I thought he kind of came out of this match looking like that. Gunther coming out and then ignoring the fans, I thought that was fantastic. Back to the heel, as he should be. And then the match was fantastic. The one thing, I don't think any of the crowd was really biting on any of the near falls or anything like that. So there were a couple of moments that felt like the crowd should have been there for, that they weren't necessarily. But then you get that this is awesome chance and the crowd was into it. They were just enjoying the match. But I don't think anyone thought that Damian Priest was leaving Saturday night's main event as the World Heavyweight Champion. I don't think anyone thought Finn Balor was leaving as the World Heavyweight Champion. And so now you probably get one big blow-off match with Priest and Balor. I don't know if you can hold that off till the Royal Rumble. I think that you make that a big Monday Night Raw episode match and do it that way. You do also have the Netflix return, but that one, maybe it's a good blow-off match for the second week on Netflix, because you're always going to have like Roman and Punk out there. Like, you're going to have a lot going on that show. Keep something for the next week and really start to build that one up that way. But again, a fantastic match. Gunther is such a great badass, and Priest and Balor, I think, show that they belong in the championship picture. Speaking of championship pictures, we have a new one. The United States Championship on the women's side, the inaugural Women's United States Championship. Chelsea Green taking on Michin. I love that these performers are getting this spotlight. I love that there's a mid-card title on both Raw and SmackDown, giving opportunities to these performers to be able to shine. And I thought shine they did. I thought they both took advantage of the spotlight really, really well. Michin, the intro and everything, she looks like a badass. I don't know why so many companies don't really go for it with her, because I've always really loved her as a performer. But Chelsea Green was the star of the show, and then the finish was fantastic. Doing flipping off of the top, hooking for the unprettier, and getting the win. The crowd lost it. They were so behind Chelsea Green and so excited to have her win it. And then you could see some real emotion from Chelsea Green. She was legitimately fired up and then went back into the character really quickly, and then it kind of bounced between the two for a little bit. I thought that added some realism to the whole thing. But I thought it was great, and I'm so happy that Chelsea Green gets this opportunity now. And again, hoping that it is built properly. Not like the women's tag team titles where, okay, now we have a challenger. there isn't a story. It's for the title, and that's it. We need to use this as something that is important, but also use it as an opportunity to not just have characters compete for it, but to tell us about these characters and their motivations in competing for it. And so hopefully we get a little bit of that as the weeks and months go on. Cody Rhodes against Kevin Owens for the WWE Championship. As you would expect, this was a really good match. And then I thought, hey, Jesse Ventura, he wasn't perfect on commentary. It wasn't right back to 1985 or anything like that, but he was good. I thought that he had an understanding of the psychology of the match and had been paying attention enough to know, like, okay, I can piece this together pretty well. And so he was great. I thought he was fantastic with this and just adding some of that nostalgia to it. And then it was kind of an 80s style finish, right? With a ref bump and a one, and kicks out. Oh, and another ref bump. And now the first ref is back. Oh my goodness, all this is happening. And so it kind of felt like an old, honestly, Saturday night's main event. Hulk Hogan against King Kong Bundy or Earthquake, let's say. And oh, the referee is down. 1, 2, and oh, he kicked out. And now what's Dino Bravo doing in there? And now Hogan is down. No, not like this. 1, 2, and oh, he kicked out. It was a lot like this. And then honestly, Cody using Crossroads on the chair to beat Kevin Owens. It gives Kevin Owens an out going forward. But it also, it did have a little bit of old school on an old school night, right? Like, Conrad Thompson has talked about this on his podcasts, but Hulk Hogan wrestled like a heel a lot, right? Like, Royal Rumble 1992, he goes to shake Psycho Sid's hand and then pulls him, or Sid Vicious at the time, I guess, pulls him out of the ring, along with Ric Flair dumping him out, and that costs him. Like, that's a heel thing to do. And Hulk would do a lot of those, right? Like, referee is down, waffling guys with the chair, in the least believable chair shots ever, but you know what I mean. And so this one, there was a little bit of that where it had a bit of an 80s feel to the whole thing. And so I thought it was a nice little nostalgic type finish to a nostalgic type night. Overall, I thought this was great. I'm looking forward to more Saturday night's main events in the future, and I think it is a really good thing that they have the winged eagle belt, the eagle wings belt, as Deeds was calling it. All of it was excellent, and I just thought they hit every note exactly how they needed to all night long. And so I just, again, I really enjoyed this whole thing. You could probably tell. I really enjoyed this whole thing, and I think WWE is set up in a real good spot now going into 2025. As far as wrestling content is concerned on the channel here for the rest of the week, hoping to have a Monday Night Raw recap for y'all tomorrow as we start to come out of Saturday night's main event, building toward the Netflix debut, and then the Royal Rumble and all of that. And then coming up on Friday, this was... we've had a couple of big moments since we've done this. It's been a while since we've done this. So I think it's time to rehash what I think WrestleMania 41 is going to look like. So we're going to book WrestleMania 41. That'll be coming up on Friday.